Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cool Crone. Tonight, it's going to be me and Sibyl talking about Sibyl. So tonight, I'm going to interview Sibyl a little bit so that you can get to know her, and I'm sure most of you do know who Sibyl Harmony is. Hi, Sibyl. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you.
And at the end, towards the end of this video, Sibyl's going to be leading us in a guided meditation. And as we lead up to that, I'm going to ask her a few questions. And if you have a few questions in the chat that you'd like to ask her, go ahead and type them in. And Sherry, who is nice enough to be backstage and helping us out, will put them up on the screen for us. So, yeah, Sibyl, I've been looking forward to this.
I'm going to move in so I'm matching you. I feel like I'm too far away. There we go.
There we go. Now our heads are the same size. Yay. Okay. So, Sibyl and I connected a couple of years ago, actually, and we've done a few shows together. I think we've talked about astrology stuff, and we've done, talked about her abilities, but mostly we've done readings for people when we've been together. And we thought tonight it would be nice for you to just get to know Sibyl in a little bit different way. So, do you want to say anything before we start with the interview, Sibyl?
Oh, just awesome. I'm delighted to be here with you and your people, and this will be really fun. This will be really cool, and I'm looking forward to the guided meditation too. And
Me
so
too.
it's nice to have community and connect. It's
Absolutely.
imperative.
Yeah. And right now, especially, people really need to know that they're not alone and
Mhm.
that things are going to be okay, and they need to be staying in the light and not getting panicky or fearful. Just push all that to the side and really focus on your light. So,
Mhm.
okay. So, Sibyl, I want to know, was your family inclined towards psychic gifts, and did they view them as a plus or a minus?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I grew up in a different family. I grew up in Berkeley, California,
Mhm.
which is a very liberal time in the 60s. And so my mother was in, Women for Peace and all that. They were beatniks. They were before the hippies were the beatniks.
Mhm.
But my father was an architect, and they just kind of really, I was free to do one thing. As dysfunctional as my family was, I had a lot of freedom to, in certain ways, to just be and to, be who I was. And so, where I felt really connected was to go out into nature, and I would hear and see in my mind's eye the nature spirits, and they would talk to me. Different spirits would come and talk to me, but as soon as I got home from school, I was like shoes off and I was outside till way past dark. We lived up in the hills. And so I was just outside all the time. And I had a really big imagination. I remember the movie Fantasia and all the really great Walt Disney movies. So I kind of grew up in some ways in a magical time. And my family really didn't care what, they were just like, oh, just, smell the flowers. And they didn't really. Now, interesting enough, as I started to develop myself um, later in my 30s, I went back and started asking the questions, which we do when we're waking up, is who am I and why am I here?
Mhm.
Because I had this whole life planned. I was going to get married, have a bunch of kids, a house with a swimming pool, $100, and bake pies. I was going to be a mom.
Yeah.
That didn't work very well because healers attract people who need a healing, and I had karma with certain spirits here. So we choose our life plan, and whether we follow it or not is kind of, we have free will. But I had picked a lot to do in this life. But anyway, by the age 30, I was like, okay, what's going on here? Who am I? Why am I here? And that's when I started going back and remembering who, my connection as a child that I had. I always felt like something was watching over me, and something's watching over all of us.
Mhm.
if we ask, unless it's a life-threatening situation, we all have guides and angels watching over us. But so I remembered that, I felt that. And when my mother was right before my mother passed, she said a couple things to me. She said, when I die, you'll be able to talk to me whenever you want. And I was like, okay, thanks, Mom.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. And my sisters kind of rolled their eyes at me like, oh God, here she goes again. Because after she passed, I was talking to her there. Like, you're not talking to Mom. And I was. And so that's when I started to develop myself. That's when I really got pushback from my family that was invalidating me. And my role in the family was kind of scapegoat. I was the one, oh, you're always wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very painful to be. You might be the invisible child, the perfect child, the scapegoat. There's different roles that people, all of us play in families, or how we get put in. So anyway, mine was, well, you don't know what you're doing. And so that was and so whenever I shined my light or I stepped into my power, they were like, no. My mother wasn't like that, but my siblings were. Very interesting. And my father was dismissive. He's like, why don't you get a real job? You could have been a physical therapist or something. Why are you doing this? And then he used to come to me and get healings and readings. When he was closer to passing, we sometimes get more spiritual, and he was open then. And he saw that I was doing it. And not just until this, I've been doing this for 25 years, but last year was the first time my sisters recognized, oh, I guess you are successful. How'd that happen? But in past lives, a lot of them were my inquisitors during the witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
And so we incarnate with people we have karma with, and they never really outwardly abused me, but it was always this kind of dismissive thing of like, oh, you don't know what you're doing and you can't do it. So that has been very interesting. And I believe I chose that as a soul so I could own my power of who I am. And that's kind of what happens to all of us, especially if you're psychic or sensitive. Even in school, we try to not be weird or not be psychic. It used to be. Now it's more accepted. But, if you were weird or different, or you had, you saw things, you think people are going to think I'm crazy. And so we've all been disempowered. So some of the things that happened to me and my family were disempowering for me. And now it says on my website, I'm here to teach you to empower yourself.
Yeah.
So that we all wake up to our abilities, which we all are goddess or God-given abilities. They're part of who we are. But because we live in a world that sometimes in this earth here has disempowered us, and especially now through religion. And I'm not against the original beautiful messages of many different types of religion. I'm actually a non-denominational pastoral counselor, sorry. But the original beautiful messages, so I'm not against that, but most of religion is fear-based, and it is teaching us how to be disempowered, and that we're weird or something is wrong with us if we have our intuition. And when we're learning, and even when we're doing it for years, we still make mistakes. And so it's important for us not to invalidate ourselves or think, oh, I guess I can't do it, or I'm not one of those people, or whatever, because we all have thoughts and feelings, and we're all connecting with spirit. And that's kind of why we're here in Earth School, is to develop and grow in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that, all higher beings communicate telepathically. Aliens communicate that way.
Yeah.
So it's actually a more effective way of learning how to communicate, or even secret societies know about symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're visual, connecting and understanding symbology, we're all having thoughts and feelings. So connecting with our thoughts and feelings. So there's a very long answer to your question
No, that's great.
about how
I,
my family, how the lessons that I was learning to validate, and it really taught me to validate myself, because it wasn't given.
yeah, my camera is doing something weird right now. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm still here. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, so we'll just pretend like my screen is not black with a little yellow white circle in the middle of it. So I guess you were recognized then when you were young for having certain gifts, right?
Well, they just would, I would tell them, I was dancing with the fairies, or there were monkeys under the bed or whatever. And they just was like, oh, it's just kid, they were just like, okay.
Just your imagination or whatever.
Well, they didn't really, my father was kind of a workaholic and kind of disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And later when I love my father, I had a good relationship when I was older, but he said, I tried to talk to you, Sibyl, when you were 16. So, I mean, he didn't really connect with me a lot. So he didn't really know what was going on with me. And my mother was very interested in her relationships, and she was alcoholic. And so she really wasn't present in a lot of ways. So I don't really even think they knew a lot of what I was doing, or just.
Yeah, yeah. And because of your siblings' kind of dismissiveness of your gifts, did you ever feel that you had to hide what you were or what you could do?
I felt like the message was, don't be who you are.
Mm,
Don't know what you know.
mm-hmm.
And that you can't do it. That was the message.
Mm,
But I kind of, um, I didn't, no, I'm like, no, I'm not, I didn't go for that. I always kind of found a way to maybe even a little combatively stand up for myself, but that's what I needed to do in that, because that's
yeah.
the best I could do. Now I don't have to argue with people or get combative. I have a better understanding. I'm okay with me, so I don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I never felt like I had to hide it. Is that what you said? To hide
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes from people, like when I see things, like if I in a grocery store and I see a spirit with somebody or something, I'm like, and they're like, tell them I'm here, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
yeah,
Sometimes you see things, things about somebody, and it's not appropriate, or they didn't ask.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know that show, The Long Island Medium?
Yeah.
I always thought it was just so annoying and intrusive when she would walk up to someone and be like, "Did you know someone who died of a heart attack?" And it's like, what a rude thing to say to somebody. And she had no, I mean, that was part of the show. She had no qualms doing that. And I always thought, man, that just rubs me ethically the wrong way. First of all, to remind somebody of something tragic like that. And second of all, to just burst into somebody and start talking about something like that. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
just,
in a grocery store.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's too
yeah.
public.
I mean, I used to work at a health club, and I used to do massage, and people would come in and their deceased relatives would be there. And I'm like, I can't say it unless they ask me,
Oh, wow.
or I would see other things with them. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not, unless, the other part of that is I used to, know what was good for everybody. I would see what was going on with you, and I would give it to you whether you wanted it or not. And so I had to learn how not to do that, how to have boundaries. But yeah, sometimes, like if a girlfriend, their husband was cheating on them, or even a client, you can't just tell someone something like that, and their whole, they could be, suicidal. They could be, you can't just, you have to, so, and I found, as we're developing our intuition, a lot of things aren't, or not a lot of things, but some things sometimes are just because I know it, it isn't meant to be shared. So that would be something that I would be like, is that helpful to that person? or is it, do I need to mind my own business, or, and those are each, I used to think there should be a formula you follow. If this happens, you do that. If this happens, and it isn't that way. Life isn't like that. So,
No.
if goddess is love, God or goddess, I believe God's a woman when I say God. So if God is love, then I have to keep going to source and asking that, okay, what do you want me to do with this? How do I handle this? But as far as hiding who I was, I haven't been very good at that.
Same. And I remember as a child, my siblings just thought I was silly, because at a very young age, I was just like, oh, well, I'm a witch. And they were like, yeah, okay, fine. They just really poo-pooed it until I got a little older, like not that much older. Like actually it was when I started to do astrology, and they were like, oh, maybe you are a witch. And I'm like, no, astrology is not witchcraft. They're two different things. I was very serious about it. I was very matter of fact about it. And they couldn't handle that. But I was very happy when I did finally read in some book, God knows how I got my hands on this book in the 60s, but some book that said that it was really good for witches to keep things to themselves and to keep things as a secret. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I can keep the whole thing a secret.
Yeah.
Fine, that's good. And then fast forward, however many decades it was before I finally worked with a group, and they were saying, and we don't talk about things outside the group. And I challenged that. I was like, guys, it's the 2000s. I think by now we can come out of the broom closet. I think we can say what we're doing and what we are. I think we should be proud of it. And they're like, no, your whole neighborhood's going to hate you. And I was like, no, I grew up like that. I don't live like that anymore. I don't care. I'll just move to another neighborhood, whatever. Oh, so back to you. So, when did you really first, I know you seems that you've been clairvoyant and probably clairaudient most of your life, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like it. You're seeing spirits right there. You're seeing full-blown apparitions and
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and hearing messages. But when did you become aware that you were a healer?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I want to back up a little bit. I was clairvoyant and clairaudient as a child, but I think what happens is a lot of us are as children, but I shut it down. And there are a million ways to shut it down.
Yep.
One is to stop using it, to not use that ability. Or if you're afraid of it, or you think you're going to see a monster, or if it's weird, or, there are a million ways, getting into arguments with people, being angry, being afraid, forcing, drinking, caffeine, taking a lot of prescriptions, recreational drugs. There's all kinds of ways that we can block our abilities. So I did a lot of those things. I was, drama queen, all that, everything. So because I didn't know how to manage my abilities. So I kind of shut it off. And then when I started meditating and doing guided meditations, what we're going to do today, it came back to me. But even if you don't have it, you can develop it. And we all have strengths. It's just finding where our strengths are. But when I figured out I was a healer is an interesting story. I remember reading this astrology book and I'm wondering if that was true or not, but it said, when I read about me, it said, you have a deep sadness that can never be healed somewhere deep inside you. And I was like, okay. So I thought that was just me, but I didn't realize that I was empathically picking up everybody's stuff. I didn't know how to have boundaries, and I was always trying to be helpful and kind and, a do-gooder, doing, everything for everybody, whether they asked me to or not, because I thought you're supposed to do that. And so I ended up getting really sick in my early 30s. Middle 30s. I got really sick, and I was in bed. And I kept going to different doctors and saying, they would run tests on me. Oh, it's your thyroid, or, Nothing's wrong with you, they would say. And I'm like, I can hardly get out. I had to lean on furniture to get to the bathroom. I mean, I was just weak. I had a headache that lasted for months. And I was trying at that time not to. I used to take a lot of prescription drugs to deal with my feelings, take all kinds of pills or whatever, drink wine, try to not, because I was so sensitive. I didn't know how else to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I was trying not to do that, but I was taking, Advil or something. And I thought, what is wrong with me? Why is this happening? And no one could help me. So I finally started praying, and I was already praying, and I was listening to Shirley MacLaine's chakra clearing thing that she did in the 80s.
Yes.
And so I was already praying, but then I started to say, restore me to health. I demand you restore me to health.
Good.
Because I thought, if this is life, I don't really want it. I can't even get out of bed. I just was so, well, that didn't work too well. That's good, maybe in some instances, but then I started saying, okay, show me what's wrong with me. I mean, no, sorry, not that. That's not good. Show me what to do. Help me. Okay, so I surrendered. So that was a prayer at that time for me that worked. It is okay for us to be like a warrior goddess and to say, I want answers. I want, that prayer is okay. But for me, what I needed to do, and I had been working on this for years of surrendering or being in alignment with divine will. And I used to sit on the couch and people would be like, what are you doing? I thought you were getting a job. And I was like, I'm surrendering to the divine will. Okay. And I found out later that, I realized later that you need to show up for life, go fill out the application and do the footwork and be present and then turn it over to divine will. So anyway, I was working on surrendering. And so that's where the door opened to me. And I started to learn about spirituality. I connected with a Tibetan monk who helped me with a lot of things. And I started reading about spirituality, and I realized that what was happening with me is that I was absorbing everybody's energy, and it had made me physically ill. And I needed to learn how to set boundaries and start meditating and clearing myself. That's when that was like the little knocking on the door. Hello, that I healed myself. And then after I healed myself, I started seeing other people's stuff. And then I started to be able to heal them. And I went to schools and training at, Berkeley Psychic Institute. And I trained with Angel, and I flew to different countries and meditated with shamans and did, all this, learned how to do all this stuff. And now it's just something that happens. Now I do use those things. Sometimes I teach those things, but now it just kind of just happens. So I have these long answers.
I love it. No, I love it. And I think, everybody's going to take a little piece of what you have said and they will be resonating with it, because I think, our stories interweave and overlap, and we have little threads that are similar and then many threads that are really different from other people. But it's so important to recognize that everybody's story is unique. That's why people say everyone is special. Everyone is a spark of the divine. But yes, we are all very, very different, and yet we have a lot of things in common, especially I'm going to call it a struggle to get to know yourself and your own spiritual journey and what you need to do. That's the whole kind of reason that we're here. It is going to be a struggle of some kind, because you have to learn, you have to change, you have to grow. And you're not going to do that if you're just sitting on a pillow and, eating popcorn and watching movies all day,
I thought this was a cushy cruise. They told me when I signed up for this life, it was a cushy cruise.
Nope. Let the Capricorn rising person tell you. No, you have to struggle.
And that was when our greatest growth and healing. Everything that's been difficult and hard has been, sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But
Yeah.
those were the hardest times when I had to dig inside of me and connect with, or surrender or whatever the medicine was at the time, to connect to move through that. And then there was so much growth and healing on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this too. Many people are healers. There's healer, teacher, creator. Many people are healers that are doctors, therapists, massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, moms, grandmothers, someone who is helping people, working in a soup kitchen. I mean, taking care of animals, growing gardens. There's many ways that we are healers.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have to just do what I do, but I like to teach people. I mean, I had to go through this whole big journey of all this stuff, but I like it to make it simple for people. And I used to give them like, well, first, you do, if you want to do this work like I do, I would guide you through in my courses. I guide people through, certain things that I think, first you need to do that. But we all have healing abilities. And if I do this in my videos now on Saturdays, I have this on my channel where we just call spirit to us and get a healing. So it doesn't have to be, a 20-year course that you're going to take so you can heal yourself. That we can do it now. And it's so needed now to connect with spirit. And also it's so needed to connect with our guidance, to be aware of our spirit guides and our spirituality, and to know thyself.
Yes, to know
Yes.
thyself.
Yeah.
So important. Oh, wow. That was a great answer. Great thing that you popped in there. That was great. Now, you've written a book, and I know people might already know that about you, but how old were you when you wrote the book? And can you just tell us the title of the book and just a snippet about what it's about?
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, so it's a book about fun little stories of spiritual adventures. When I walked up on a hill and saw a guide. Actually, I was told in 2012, I walked up on a hill and this guide appeared, Melchizedek, who is an earlier incarnation of Yeshua, Jesus. But I didn't want to say that because people in my writing group, they're like, well, we didn't know you were a Christian. I was like, no. So I work with female guides. I work with a lot of different guides and elementals. But I walked up on this hill, and I saw him there, and he was under a tree, and he said, it's okay if you want to go now. You can go. You're okay to go. And I was like, well, I don't think I want, can I stay? And so I was allowed to stay. It's just that I had that opening, which, what a gift that is, to be allowed to go home. I was like, wow, but I feel like there's so much more. I didn't know the stuff that was to come, like COVID and everything else. But I felt like I had that choice. And I was like, because usually it's the other way around when in near-death experiences, and I've had near-death experiences, but I always lived through it. But yeah, I've had a very interesting, I should write a book about my life. But anyway, so I usually it's like the person goes up there and then they're told, no, you need to come back.
Right.
Well, I was told I could go, so it was backwards. Like, can I stay? And so I think it was also a double message about my awakening so that I could connect with my higher self. But I know that I'm here to do this work, to help people in their awakening and their spiritual process. So I'm here, do as little as, every person is, the energy, and we're all doing that. As we shift our energy into higher vibration, we're helping the planet to shift into a higher vibration. Imagine if all our hearts would open, the oceans would purify. What a world, what a wonderful world. There's no reason for any war or poverty or greed, or there's no reason for any of it. It is all a lie. That's all a lie.
It's Maya.
Yeah. And so we're here but anyway, so that's why I'm here. But I wrote my book about 5 years ago, or no. Yeah, it was after 2012. I had been writing manuscripts and doing, finally I just got with this group, and I wanted to do a 3-volume, 500 pages each of everything you ever want to know about healing and spiritual development. I thought that's what, and they said, nobody's going to even read even one of those. I was like, what? So I have a 200-page, 200 something page, little fun stories about my spiritual adventures, and then the basic understanding of chakras and developing your clair abilities. Right now, I'm going to be in the process soon of updating my book.
Oh, how exciting.
But I'm going to update what I've done, because as I've continued to grow, my understandings have opened even more. Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking about writing another book, but that hasn't come through yet. But that's probably where I'm going, is my next book. So.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Are you going to write another book? So now I hear about 2 books. One book is another spiritual book, but you also are going to write about your life. So that's probably a bigger undertaking, writing about your life.
Thanks for the reading. Yeah, well, yeah, because I have but the thing is, I have a lot of things that happened to me that I used to have to talk about because they weren't healed. But I'm like, who wants to hear that stuff? Because I used to think, look, nobody's had a harder life than me. I mean, I did. You would be, I'm not, I don't want to get into that here, but it was like, there was a lot that happened that it's a miracle I lived through that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering how that can help people, because I used to, for a long time, I felt like I needed to talk about it to heal it. And now I feel like I'm okay with, I'm not in my wound anymore. I'm okay I'm not okay with it, but I'm at peace with it. And there's nothing back there for me anymore. Everything that I could gain or learn from that is already happened. And so, like, why, but thanks for that spiritual, because that might be, because that's part of knowing, because I thought about writing about know thyself, who are you? Because it's so important to, and we think, well, I just want to learn about manifesting. I want to get this or I want to get that. But your power is in knowing, in sitting in your power, in your energy field, is in knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Not trying to get it out here for things to change out here so that then you can be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Very profound. So what do you consider today to be your most dominant skill?
Well, I think that I've already mentioned that is to assisting people in their spiritual growth and development.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Because every time I talk to you, you give me you don't even know you're doing it. And you're giving me little tips and little clues about what's going on with me, where I can go forward and try different things. But yeah, that is it's a real big gift. It's a huge gift.
Well, after my call to go home, I realized that every day is a gift, and everything is, my life isn't one of the other things that happened to me. I don't think I put this in my book. I still have the ring here. I walked up on a hill, and there was this was after a divorce. I was married to this guy, and I knew he wasn't being faithful. And every morning he'd walk out, get up, put on his ring, walk out in the driveway, and then I'd watch him slip his ring in his pocket. Whenever I ran into him at work or went to work, he wasn't wearing his ring. So I'm like, something's wrong. I knew something was wrong. And my guides told me anyway. I was like, no, I wasn't listening to my guides. But there was this whole big thing about the ring. And it turned out, yeah, he wasn't honoring and respecting me, and that marriage ended. So when that marriage was ending, I walked up on the hill, and there was this tree up there with a ring on it. And it said, "Take the ring." And it wasn't an expensive ring. It was like a turquoise silver ring or something. And I thought, that must belong to somebody. So I tried leaving a note, like, is this somebody's ring? Or, and after a couple of weeks, I got, okay, I should just take it. And so I took it, and I have it. And what my guide said to me, and I know this sounds religious or something, is that you're married to spirit. So everything about my life is not, especially after that invitation to go home, everything about my life is not about me anymore. It's about my service. So I always pray for that in the morning when I wake up. So everything I say, it's like, you ask me a question, I'll teach you something. You thought you were just saying, or even if you say something, how's this weather? Yeah, how is this weather? Yeah, the climate change. No. So
yes, yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, okay.
So last question, because I want to give you enough time to do the guided meditation, is what advice would you give others who are trying to develop their own skills?
Whoa, cool. Okay. Meditate.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundations I was taught were prayer and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And prayer can be affirmation. It can be, and probably about this, ceremony.
Yeah.
It would be another one. Yeah. And I could talk for hours about ceremonies I've done. So I love ceremony, prayer, meditation, but I really like guided meditations too, because a guided meditation helps you to use your senses. It takes you to being quiet. So if you're asking for guidance, you get quiet and then listen. That would be the meditation. Or do ceremony to help connect with spirit or create things. You're developing a relationship with the divine. But guided meditation is like going to the gym and working out. You're working that muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You're visualizing, you're hearing, you're feeling, and you kind of just like step out of this current, the outside distractions. I don't want to say step out of, because we do, we kind of go somewhere, but so I would say those are the most important things to develop.
Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah.
To be grounded, to understand you have an aura, to understand that you are frequency, you are spirit here in a body.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's different, but those are the tools that I would say that most people use. And I used to insist with people, oh, you have to meditate. Not everybody is going to be a meditator. I personally think if you can't meditate, then it would be really helpful if you did.
But meditation can be so many things.
Okay.
A walk in the woods can be a meditation.
Right.
A hot bath, playing with your cat, looking at the clouds. So people really get stuck in this, very restrictive idea of meditation is sitting cross-legged with their hands in a mudra and, chanting Om. That is only one way to meditate, and there are thousands of ways to meditate. So find some way.
I love that. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. And there's meditative like practices like yoga or qigong.
Yes.
Doing art. Anybody who's connecting with art or music or even cooking a meal, you can get into the zone. And singing, dancing, you're being in nature, like you said, taking a bath and just being, being really present with yourself. Those are all ways of connecting.
Right. And honoring your quietness and your centeredness and what can come out of that moment just for you. That's so important, I think, for everybody. I think devotion, ceremony, a daily acknowledgement of the divine within you, I think is very important. Yeah. So, okay, cool. And you know what? When we talked about your book, I don't think you said the title of your book. So let everybody know what the title is.
It's White Rainbows.
Okay. And I will get a link for it, and I'll put that in the description after this video goes up.
Well, I don't like to promote Amazon, but it's on Amazon. It might be on my website. I always forget to check that.
I'll check. It's okay.
But it is on Amazon. White Rainbows by Sibyl Harmony.
And it's probably by now on places like, what is it, Libris, or, any of those other book sites, Goodreads or something. It's probably on all of those.
Okay.
So I'll look at a few so we don't only have to go to Amazon. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to just turn it over to you, and I'm going to try and take myself out of the picture. Let me see if I can do that. Can I do that? No. What is this? How can I do this? I had it the other. Okay. And can I put you there? There we go. I did it. Okay. I'll just put me on the side and
All right.
oh, Sibyl all the time. Okay.
Okay. So I did want to talk about the guides coming in. And so I'm going to kind of channel with my guide Ishtar. And Ishtar is an ancient Babylonian and Sumerian goddess whose other name is Inanna, or Divine Mother. And she has a huge group of goddess spirits that are with her. So I'm going to call her in. And please call in any of your guides or angels that you are feeling connected with. There's lots of guides and angels here. And let's just start by taking some relaxing breaths. So we'll take about 15 minutes here and just kind of give you a time for you to just connect with yourself. We'll go in and get a healing message and create something. So go ahead and close your eyes if you would. Just relaxing and feeling your body. So breathing through your nose into your belly is a good idea, a way of relaxing and connecting with spirit, with your breath. And just relaxing. We're not trying to force anything. I'm just going to take some time and relax. It's like the flower. And it is 444 right now. That's the time of the number of the angels. So we'll call in the Archangel Michael. So it's like a flower, and the bees and the butterflies come to the flower. You don't need to chase guidance or spirit. So we're asking with our intentions or our words that spirit come to us and give us healing and messages and open our abilities to connect. If you want, you can feel your feet on the floor. Your legs on the chair, or if you're laying down. If you want, you can do a shoulder roll or a neck roll and just let your body relax. We want to be like children. We want to have fun and be in our amusement and just be in the moment and enjoy this experience. Just breathing and relaxing, connecting and calling in our guides. Just let your arms be loose and relax, like ropes releasing tension. Your abdomen relaxing. And if you would, for now, just let your day go. Any issues or problems or anything that's unresolved, problem energy, just put it in little bubbles and let it float away for now. You can get it back when you're done with this and look at it then or whatever. But let's just, for now, let all that go. And be aware, if you would, that you are now moving up through the higher chakras, up above your head, going to a place that's a beautiful garden. Visualizing or pretending works. Just being like a child and having fun. Imagining you're in a garden. There's a gentle breeze and the trees are moving in the wind. They're beautiful colored flowers. And a little bird comes in to remind you of joy. You can hear the breeze blow the trees gently in the wind. Feeling completely safe in this sacred, beautiful place. A little squirrel scampers up a tree. And you see the clouds moving above you in the sky. You notice there is a presence there with you, a loving presence. And this presence beckons you to a staircase, going up even higher, going to the unconscious, going to the place of your guides, of the healing place. You walk with the guide and start to move up the stairs. As you're stepping up, 10, your legs relax. It's almost as if you're floating. Going to the healing place, the place of the guides, stepping up, 9. Stepping up, 8. Floating up, 7. A life-affirming mist washes over you, helping you to feel beautifully alive and clear as you breathe it in, floating up, 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1 with all that is. There's a crystal healing table, and your guides beckon you to go over and lie down on the table. You are surrounded by these beautiful beings of light and wisdom. And if you'd like, you can receive a healing. You can communicate with them telepathically that you would like a healing or what you would like a healing on. And then just go ahead and lay down. It feels very comfortable and soft as you lay there and receive your healing. Feeling completely safe and enjoying this wonderful energy, healing of light, peace, gentle transformation, happiness, clarity. Clearing away any lower energies or anything that isn't serving you, and you're ready to let go of. So they may be working on your chakras. They're also going to clear out your grounding cord so that when you come back to Earth, you're a lot more grounded to Gaia. You may be receiving physical healings. emotional healings, the opening of your abilities, there's a little chakra above your heart chakra and below your throat, which is your thymus chakra. This is where the guides connect with you. It's part of your immune system. They may take special care so that you have better connection with them as you go through your physical life here on earth. Remember, your guides are frequency and energy. Sometimes we give them names. We like to have names so we know who to call. You may receive a name, or you may receive a name later on. You can ask to help connect with, who are you? What is your name? And how are you here helping me? You may see animal totems coming around. You may see symbols, rainbows or clouds or stars, keys, gifts. They want to give you a gift. When you are done with your healing, you can go ahead and gently sit on the side of the crystal table and reach out your hand, and your guides will hand you a gift. This gift is an energy, a frequency, a symbol, or a tool to help you through your earthly life in some way, or a validation because you've already seen it or you will be seeing it. So taking your gift now and thanking your guides and angels, you are now being led down the stairs, knowing you can come back here whenever you like because now you have found it. You can come back here in the dream world or in your meditation. Coming back into the room where you are, the town where you are, in present time, whatever time it is for you. If you're watching this in pre-recorded, whatever time it is, in present time, back into your body, bringing the light, the healing, and the gifts. Knowing that you're always connected and you're just one thought, one ask, one prayer away from your guides, your intuition is strengthened, feeling lighter, feeling more at peace. Knowing that something magical has just happened. Don't try to figure it out or understand it. Just let it be what it is. And the more you practice this, the stronger your gifts, the stronger your connection will be. And you will hear messages and have synchronistic events in the days and the weeks to come as a result of this connection that you have made today. So good job. Thanking your guides, keeping your eyes closed. If you want, you can give yourself a little hug or pat your knees to kind of come back in your body more. Let's kind of just ground ourselves because that was a lot. Take a few breaths and start to stretch. Very good. Woo! All right, you can open your eyes when you're ready.
Wow. Wow, Sibyl, that was really great.
Yeah,
Thank
now you
you.
might feel a little lightheaded, but that's okay because you just let go of years of stress or lifetimes. Yeah.
That was
But that'll
big.
pass in a little bit. So drink water and enjoy your healing.
Got my water.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. A completely free and very profound healing, only found on the Cool Crone by Sibyl Harmony. So just saying it. That was beautiful. That was just beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Book Bewitched writes in the comments, playing that on loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not while you're driving, okay? But any other time, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Well, thank you so much, Sibyl. This has been great. Not only did we get to know you, but we got to learn about your book and we got a awesome healing. So thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. This was really fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah. Well, I'll have you on my channel next.
Yes, that will be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming, and I'm sure you're all going out and buying Sibyl's book, but hopefully you'll listen to this video over again because there was a lot in what Sibyl said that you may not have caught the first time, and I want everybody to catch everything. She's such an amazing healer, and I always enjoy having her on, so we'll be doing this again, and I'll be on her channel as well.
Yeah.
So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Love.